I've mentioned that the surface mining has two categories, mechanical and aqueous. The mechanical ones are open pit or open cast or open cut, depending on which jurisdictions you are. Then we have the terrace mining, strip mining, contour mining, auger mining, glory mining, and quarry. Then when we come to the aqueous is also further divided into two. So we have mining here as the grandfather. And then if I have mining, I decide whether I want to go surface mining or underground mining. When I pick surface mining, I've realized I can use surface mining. I have to decide whether I want to use mechanical or it is aqueous. If I choose aqueous, I have two techniques. The deposit, is it placer or the deposit can be worked using solution. So this is how, so you see the surface leg is longer than the underground one. So maybe when we get to underground, we'll find out whether it also has got other legs. So mining, surface mining, underground mining. I am hammering on this because I see a lot of people get confused with it when they are asked questions regarding this. Mechanical, aqueous. Aqueous further divided into two, placer and solution. So I will talk about these things as we go ahead. There is this panning and sluicing. These ones are usually part of the indigenous mining we met when we're talking about skills in mining today, which was our first point of discussion. And so panning and sluicing. Panning is when you fetch material into a bowl, you begin to put water and swirl them around and decant the water. Keep doing that because you know that gold metal is heavier than the usual metals we have or rocks around us. You begin to swirl it this way, and then the gold material settles below, and you keep decanting the water. And at some point, the gold material will settle and get stuck in your bowl. Usually, these galamseyers use some kind of a tie bowl where the material can get stuck to it. Then after that, they proceed with their mercury and whatnot and get their gold, which they measure in a form of blade or so. Then the sluicing is where you mix your material with water and pour them on a board, which is the sluice board, and wash them. And then there's a mat they usually set on the galamsey. The galamseyers have got a board which they call the sluice board. They lay a mat, which is that kind of cotton-like mat. They lay on it and create ripples on the bed. Can someone tell us why those ripples are there? When you pick a galamseyers board, there's always some small buttons on the board, which they lay the mat on top and try to wash the materials down. Can someone tell us why they put those buttons across the board? All right, so that is the essence of the ripples they put there to trap the sediment as they flow along the board. So it helps to reduce the speed at which the materials would have run over the board without trapping anything. So these are typical examples of the various types of surface mining. So the A is an aqueous, what's the name? It's a mechanical mine because it is done on dry land. We work in benches in an open pit mine. Then the dredging is where we use a machine which can float on water. And then we begin to scoop materials from there. And then, so anytime you have water and you have a machine, and you try as much as possible to float the machine on the water or to sit in the water and scoop material from beneath the water, you say you are dredging. Area stripping. Area stripping is another type of mining. It's a mining method where you have a vast land. Okay, so let's assume you've bought a plot of land, and the whole of the plot of land there is a deposit below, and usually it's coal or it's a placer. Okay, and then you decide that you want to mine that material settling or that is on that area. So you begin to strip. You use a machine that can help you take off all the overburden material that is covering the mineral of interest on that plot of land. Then now you begin to take the mineral. So because it is covering a whole area, it's as if somebody just picked some material and poured the deposit and poured it over your land. And then over time, some grasses and other soil material settled on it. And now you want your mineral back. So you go back there and scoop all the waste material from it and begin to work across the whole area. That is area mining. Then the contour strip mining is also another stripping technique. So strip is coming from the word removal of cover. You are removing the cover of something. So when you are talking of the contour mining, you are using the topography of the land. The land has got its hills and its nature is still there. You don't want to destroy it. Then you begin to follow the pattern of the land to take your mineral of interest. You strip across the contours of the land, take the mineral of interest, and when someone is far away, they see that the land still has got that shape or that contour that it used to have. It is still there, it hasn't changed. But this time around, you have mined along it and you've left it intact, but then you've taken a mineral out of it. That is the contour mine. So let's see if you people can see this in this video I'm trying to play.
Dredging, an age-old process that to this day is of great economic and infrastructural importance around the world. There are different methods of dredging, such as plain suction, trailing suction, and cutter suction. This CSD range of dredgers
machine that is used for dredging as a type of mining, which is aqueous mining technique. So you have water, and then there have been some gold material or a mineral of interest that have settled. So if you want to think of dredging, just think of dredging as you having a gutter at the back of your house. Then when it rains, you have sand which you didn't put there. They are carried away from somewhere and they leave this sand in your gutter at the back of your house. And there's water in the gutter, but you know there is sand there. Then you go in there to scoop that sand. So the sand that came to settle in the gutter is a placer. Placer simply means that it wasn't formed there, but then it came from somewhere and placed itself there. So when we are talking of a placer deposit, that is its simple meaning. Any deposit that wasn't formed at where you see it now, but it formed as a result of other substances or materials elsewhere that have come to settle. And over time, you discover that they are of interest and you want to mine. So when you get into the gutter and you pick your shovel or whatever and begin to scoop that material from the water, you are doing dredging. And that is what
use the cutter suction method. But how does it work? Let's take a look. Of course, the most important work happens underwater, controlled by the operator from inside the control cabin. He starts by lowering the ladder. Now the cutter head can do its work, loosening soil from the bottom. A dredge pump sucks the loosened material through the suction.
So we have various types of dredging machines. Based on the type of head, the head it uses to do the cutting of the material from the water, we give the machine a name. So this one, they say it's called a cutter head. So we will come across
pipe and discharges it. Pretty simple, right? But how does the dredger move around to dredge an entire terrain? The CSD is designed to tackle this efficiently and very effectively. The dredger is anchored on port and starboard, but contrary to normal anchors, these are not meant to keep the vessel still, but to move it from side to side. By controlling the side wire winches, the dredger swings from side to side, dredging the bottom without missing a spot. The operator lowers a spud pole to create a center point of rotation for the dredger. After completing a cut, the dredger moves forward by raising the spud and lowering another one. To speed up this process, the CSD may also be outfitted with a spud carriage pontoon. A small workboat.
So let's see another video and see if so there are a number of such videos on YouTube which I will entreat you, if you have time, go and watch them. Any of the terminologies although mining, we don't have so much information on YouTube, but there are some that cut across civil engineering and other professions. And so if you hear of any of these terminologies and you want to know more about it, you can go to YouTube, enter that thing there, and then you have some videos showing up to give you a better understanding of what we are talking about here. And so let's move on to so the next thing is terrace mining. What is terrace mining? So terrace mining is also another form of mechanical mining, where you have your deposit in a form of a hill. It looks like the contour, but with that one, it is buried at an angle within the hill or in the land surface, but not as deep as the usual open pit mine that you know. And this time around, instead of mining all of them at the same time, because it is at an angle, you have a lot of waste to strip, and you can't also strip the whole hill down to get to the coal or the material you want. And so you try to do it in benches. And that is what we term as terrace mining. So this picture you see where you have the yellow and the black, it's kind of a bench-like nature, which is typical to surface mine and open pit mine. This is a slightly different. And so when it's in this form, we say you are doing terrace mining. It's a deposit that is near surface, which you can use the stripping method to do it, but you are doing the stripping based on benches. So surface mining, mineral extraction, you do open pit mining where you dig holes, or you dredge where you scrap material from underground or underwater, and then area stripping on a flat area. An earth mover strips the overburden material and then you pick your mineral. And then contour where you scrap ore from hilly grounds, which I've already explained. Then mechanical extraction, you have some things like the open pit or open cut or open cast, which are all almost the same, or the quarry. So sometimes quarry to operate open pits. And then we have the terrace mining, which I've explained up there. Then the strip mining, which is also either contour or whatnot. Then we have some of the decisions or the type of ore bodies and how we describe them. So we can have an ore body and say it is stratified or non-stratified. It is narrow or wide. It is thick or whatnot. So this is a table that can inform us. Stratified simply means that the ore body is kind of in layers, as if you buying biscuits and you having them in layers like that in the wrapper. So when we say the deposit is stratified, that is what we are trying to say. It means that the deposit is in layers, uniform layers, which you can see. So if it is coal, you are able to tell that, okay, there are two layers. The one below is the coal. The one here is the waste. So they are stratified. That is the description we could give. Then we have other things like open pit mining. So we are saying that open pits is used when our ore bodies lie near surface. Large holes are dug to expose the ore body, and then our waste rock or the overburden is removed. And then open pit mining is the second cheapest method, but has the largest environmental impact. How do we discuss this?
The environmental impact.
Yeah.
To get the bucket a lot of money because it's a very huge investment. When you mine, they leave holes around without reclaiming it.
Okay.
So as a result, it traps a lot of people in there. You can have a lot of fatality and stuff in there. So when that one is not being enforced, it poses a problem. So we, the Minerals Commission, we make sure that whenever you dig a hole and you are done with the mining, you fill it so that the landowner can go back and do it after putting in the topsoil, on the topsoil and revegetating the area. You give it back to the owner. Okay. Since we have finished mining, that's the mineral rights at that place is done. You have to give it. Because of deep pockets, they tend to leave the holes there when it is not being monitored well. So we are there to enforce that.
All right. So I think on that note, my 12 has come. So we'll close for today.